So another game-changing feature that we have within DaVinci is the ability to save stills within our gallery. And a still is basically just like a screenshot, except it also holds color grading metadata as well as the node tree structure that was originally used to create the look for that still. This is awesome because it allows us to save certain looks to our gallery and reapply them to any other clips within our project very quickly. We also have something called Power Grades, which is a separate album which we can just take our stills, drag them in there, and then those looks that are saved within the Power Grades album are then accessible by any other project within the same database. So Power Grades are very similar to Power Bins that are found within the media pool, except Power Grades are only for grades. So I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's jump into DaVinci and I'll show you guys everything you need to know about stills. So the gallery can be found in the top left over here. If you're not seeing it, it means it's not enabled. So just enable it by clicking it just like that. And you are presented with the gallery over here. And this is where we save our stills. So at any point of the project, if I have a clip and I've done a grade to it, let's say that I've added an S curve here and maybe I've added a LUT or something to this as well. That's the look I want. And I want to save this as a still within my gallery. What I can do is right click and select grab still. And just like that, we've saved this still to the gallery over here. And we can see by default, it's given it its own name. So it's 1.27.1. And basically what this sequence of numbers is the track number, shot number, and then version number. So each clip within your timeline is going to be on a certain track. So in this case, it was track 1, because in this case, there is only one track. The shot number, which is shot number 27 in this timeline. And the last one is the version number. Now in this case, there's only one version for this clip. And if you don't know what versions are, that's a separate video for itself. But versions are also a very powerful tool. I highly recommend you learn how to use those. Okay, cool. So we've saved a still and we can see by default, it's been added to this first album over here to the left called Stills 1. And these are just different albums here. Now the Power Grade is an album that's basically shared among all the other project files within your database. So if I take this look here and I drag it into Power Grades 1, you can see that we have it here. And you can see I have another still saved in the Power Grade here as well. And any of these stills that are saved within the Power Grade album are going to be accessible within any project within your database. So if I hit Shift 1, go to my project manager, if I go to a different project, let's say this one here, for example, and I access the Power Grade over here, I have access to those same stills within this other project file as well. So that's really important to understand. The Power Grades album is the album that stays consistent within the entire database. So you can update this from any project file. It doesn't matter. What you put within this Power Grades album is going to be seen within any other project within your database. So I'm just going to hit Shift 1. Let's go back to the main project. Now I'm just going to take that still out of the Power Grades over here, bring it back to our album over here. Click Move. That's fine. So now that I have a saved still within my gallery over here, I can apply this look to any other clip within my project really quickly. So let's go to one of these other shots here. What I can do is just take this still, drag it over my preview over here, and we can see that the node graph has been updated. So now we have that exact same look applied on this clip over here. Now in this case, I would say that the skin tones look a bit off. Maybe they're a bit too saturated. So what I can do is Option S. Let's grab the qualifier, select the skin tones, maybe dial down the saturation. That looks a bit nicer to me. And what I can do now is same thing as before, right click, grab still. Now I've actually made a shortcut for this and it's just the letter B on the keyboard. So if I hit B, we can see that that still has been added to the gallery over here. And at any point, if we want to rename one of our stills, we can right click, go to change label, and then we can give it a new name. So we can call this skin desaturated. That way I can very easily know what grade that is. So one really cool thing about stills is we can actually view the node graph that was used to create the look on that still. So we can right click on any of our stills and select display node graph. And then we have this pop-up window here that shows us the exact node graph that was used in order to create that look. So it could be useful to see the node graph before you actually apply the look to anything. I'm just going to click close. Now, stills are not just useful for quickly applying looks to any clips within our timeline, but we can also use them to reference other looks for things like shot matching. So if I go to another clip within my timeline here, let's say this one, for example, with one of my stills selected in my gallery, what I can do is hit this button right here, which is image wipe. And we can see that we are now able to see half of the still within our gallery next to our original image over here. And this is great because now I can reference two images at once right here in my preview and make sure that the colors look similar in both, especially if they are both in the same scene. Now, two important shortcuts are Command W and Option W. Command W basically just enables the wipe. So when we hit Command W, we are presented with the image wipe, and we have a bunch of different options to choose from on how we want to wipe. But Option W allows us to flip that wipe. So that's awesome and something I use all the time, because sometimes you're going to want to see the right side of your image and then reference that. Other times you're going to want to see the left side of your image. So Option W, that's a great shortcut to quickly flip the image wipe. You can also just go right click here and select invert wipe. It does the same thing. Now, another really cool thing about stills is that they don't have to come from within your project. You can actually bring stills in from other sources like the internet. So here I have this photo that I found on Google. I like the look of this. And this is just a JPEG, so I can just drag it in from my computer and have access to it right here. And if I select this and I hit Command W twice, we are able to use this as a reference now and do the same image wipe as before. So now I can reference the colors within this image and try to replicate them here. Now, obviously in this situation, it would be hard because, you know, we're dealing with completely different lighting situations, completely different environment. So you're gonna wanna find stills that kind of make more sense with the situation that you're dealing with. But in this case, I could definitely still, you know, reference this and try to make the highlights, shadows, midtones as similar to this image here as possible. Now, things can definitely start to get a little bit messy within our gallery over here, especially if we're bringing tons of stills in from external sources and we're saving a bunch of stills from within our project as well. So that's why we have the ability to create albums. So if I right click over here to the left and select Add Still Album, it adds a whole new album over here. So what I could do is double click on this to rename it. So I can call this Inspo. And what I could do is grab this image from here, drag it into Inspo. And that way I've separated, you know, all the external images that I'm bringing into the program. I can keep them in this album here, and then all of the stills from within the project, I can save them in this album. Now, another cool thing about the gallery is I can go down here to timelines, and up here I can select any of the timelines within my project. So you can see I have 3 different timelines here. It's showing me all of them. I can go to this all selects timeline, and it's going to show me every single clip within that timeline right here. So if there's a grade that I want from a certain clip from another timeline, I could just select that timeline, whatever it is, go find that clip, and then right click, apply grade, and it will apply the grade that is on this clip to the clip that I'm currently working on within this timeline. So that's really cool, and it allows us to bypass the need to go over here, select the other timeline, find the clip that we want, Command C, copy the grade on that certain clip, and then go back to this timeline and then apply it to the clip within this timeline. We can very quickly find whatever clip we're looking for within this timelines album here, and then apply those grades very quickly. Now, one last thing I want to show you guys about the gallery is a different way to view it. So if we go up here to the top right and we select this button here, Gallery View, it allows us to view our gallery in a bit of a different way. We're also able to grab this window over here and bring it over to another monitor. So if you have a dual or triple monitor set up like I do, this is great because I can just move this to another monitor and then have all of these gallery options fully visible to me on another display. And I don't have to work in this small area over here. Now within this pop-up, we actually have some additional features, one of them being memories, and this is a really, really cool option, but I'm gonna save this for another video. But memories are something that I do use as well, and they are a very quick and efficient way for us to apply certain grades to any one of our clips. It's just another amazing tool that DaVinci provides for us to be even more efficient colorists. Now, what's really cool about this view is we're able to access other databases as well. So right now you can see that I'm in this main ads database, which I'm using to actually create the ads for the launch of this course. And what I can do here is access any other databases that I have within DaVinci. So let's say DaVinci KC here, for example, and I can access the power grades or any of the other stills that are saved within that project, within that database, and apply them to this project. So that's very useful as well. It's a very easy way to pull grades from other project files and other databases without having to go to your project manager, go over to the other database, open up the project file, and then export those stills and then have to re-import them into this project. This is really useful because it allows us to kind of navigate all of our databases, all of our project files, and find the specific grades that we want. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is that we can actually export these stills as well. So if I right click on any of my stills here and select export, I can choose what kind of file format I want to export it as. So down here, we can choose DPX, TIFF, JPEG, PNG, a bunch of different options. I usually just stick with JPEG. The cool thing is it not only exports the JPEG file, but it also exports a DRX file as well, which is basically just a file that holds the color grading metadata as well, so that you can share that file with anyone else and they can apply that same grade to any of their clips with that same node tree structure. So that's just another really easy way for us to move color grades from one computer to another or share them with other editors. So if I go to my desktop here, DaVinci Stills, if I select export and I bring up that folder here, we can see that not only did we save the JPEG, we also saved this .drx file as well. And now what we can do is in the gallery, right click over here, we can select import, and now we can import that same DRX file right here. We can click import. It's going to import that same still with all of the color grading metadata and the node tree structure as well, which is awesome. One thing I like to do a lot of the time when I'm done a project is I'll go through a bunch of my clips in the timeline and I'll just grab stills of those clips. So hit B and I'll basically just look for like the most aesthetically pleasing images within my timeline. Once I'm done, I'll just select all of these here. So I'll select the bottom one, hold shift, select the top one here. And what I could do is export all of these at once. And what I'll do with those is I'll create a stack. So I'll stack like 3 of those on top of each other just to show the general vibe of the project. It's something that a lot of color graders do. So it's kind of a fun way to just save a photo of the color grade work that you did within your project, finding those interesting looking stills and stacking them on top of each other. And this is just in general a really easy and quick way for you to export stills from your project. So there we go. That is everything you need to know about stills. They are a very powerful tool. I definitely recommend that you implement this tool into your workflow. Go ahead, open up DaVinci, experiment with stills, get familiar with how this works because this is a tool that you're going to use a lot as a colorist. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I'll catch you in the next one.